Hallelujah. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, good morning, wherever you are, whomever you are. Welcome to Voice of the Wilderness. We are in this study, Light Up the Darkness. This is our fifth session, and we are seeing some amazing things. We are hearing some deep revelatory things. And we hope that as you listen, that you are blessed, that you ponder, that you think about these things that you have heard. You go back, you read through the books, read through the chapters, read through the verses, read through the scripture, and see if what we're saying is true. I believe it is. And so we stand fast on that. So we are in the book of Romans. The Apostle Paul wrote this letter, if you will, to the Roman church. I don't know. I don't think it was the Roman Catholic Church. I think there was an assembly, a group of people gathering in Rome that was called the Roman Church. And they had issues, and Paul is addressing some of the issues that they have and giving his wisdom and his counsel from the depth of his knowledge about the scripture. Right, the Torah, all in the spirit of God and the spirit of love and humility and peace and all those things. So we are in the 8th chapter of that book, if you will, or that letter. We know that when this was written, this wasn't written like this in terms of it's called a book and a letter and a chapter. And it's, it's one long letter, right? Until the people decided to chop it up into chapters and so on and so forth. That's not what we're here to discuss, right? We are talking about lighting up the darkness. And if you're alive today, if you have any inclination, any clue, any idea, any thought, any peek into humanity, legal issues, political issues, societal issues, you would know that this is some crucial times, right? And perhaps even before our time, even before our generation and generations, these things were being experienced to some degree, right? So these things are not necessarily new. They have gone into the bathroom. They have taken showers. They have changed their clothes, cut their hair, wearing glasses, and they have whitened teeth and dark hair. But they're still the same issues, right? And I hope you all got that analogy of the dress up, right? The issues are being dressed up differently, but they're still the same issues, right? And if we push back further and further and further into the historical, the historical efforts, we would see that it's most of the issues, if not all, are basically the same, right? They're basically the same. So these are some of the things that Paul was writing to the church in Rome because of the issues they were facing. Okay, and we are on this topic, light up the darkness. We are focusing and zooming in on the fact that God does not necessarily address darkness. I remember one of the sessions I said he never addressed darkness. And that may not be 100% accurate. Maybe there are times that he does address darkness. But God, in most instances, 99.9% of the times, he addresses the light. He addresses the light. And this morning, as I was taking a shower and getting ready to start the session, I thought about the whole counterfeit money thing, right? You know, how, at least, let me just say it like this. I don't know for sure, but that's what I've heard. That's what I've been told, that when they're training people to differentiate between what's counterfeit money and what's real money, they use the real money, right? They make the people, they make the human people who do these things focus on the real bills. Spend time, effort, energy on the real bill. And because people are so enshrined, they are so tied in, they are so looped in, they are so captivated in the real money, it's easier to identify the false money. Listen, we are talking about lighting up the darkness. I hope that you all understand what I'm saying. And so, for generations, as far as I know, for years, as far as I can tell, the believers, the quote-unquote church per se, have been caught up in identifying the enemy. We are so amused and amazed and so bewildered by the enemy's tactics and the enemy that we don't recognize God. We have a difficult time recognizing what's God, who's God, and what's not. You know, and I remember years ago, I was on a podcast listening, and one of the commentators said that there was a certain president who God told her, listen, God, the person said God told them that this president was not God's president. And I was amazed by the statement, because the writers of the biblical document says every authority is appointed by God. Every authority is appointed by God. And yet, this person said that God told them that this particular president was not his president or God's president. And we have to understand that the more we get inculcated, the more we get infused with truth, the more we read the biblical narrative, the more we hold fast to our faith that there is a God, there is God, and God exists. The more we lend ourselves, the more we give ourselves, the more we are willing and obedient, the easier it is for us to recognize the deceptions of the enemy, the moves, the narratives, the ins and outs. Because remember, Paul, in his letters, described the time when even the devil could become an angel of light. He would appear to be, he would portray himself to be an angel of light. After all, one of the attributes of the Antichrist is he would be loved. He would be a man of peace. He would first adopt that kind of aura, that kind of principle, that kind of ideology. He would be talking, pushing, fighting, and seeming to be a peaceful person who's only after the good of the people. And then, like the writer says, there will be peace, peace, and then sudden destruction. Because the same person was a wolf in sheep's clothing. And the Gospels talk about these entities at will. How can you recognize a wolf if the wolf has on a sheep clothing? If the wolf looks like a sheep? See, you don't study the behavior of the sheep. Sorry, you don't study the behavior of the wolf because you already know the attributes of a wolf. It's a ravenous animal. He's flesh-eating. He will devour, right? He's a carnivore. And likewise, the sheep, on the other hand, is dumb. It's a dumb animal, right? We're all of us are like sheep, going astray. Just, we need a shepherd. We need somebody to protect us. Sheep cannot exist on their own. A wolf can. A wolf will exist in his pack, but they could exist on their own. No matter how much sheep in a herd, if that's the correct term for a herd, for a bunch of sheep, or a lot of sheep together, sheep cannot, they don't know how to take care of themselves. They need guidance. They need a shepherd. They need somebody with a rod to tap them this way and say, no, don't go over there. That's a cliff. What you doing? Come back here. No, don't go over there. That's this. Don't go out this gate. No. Come here. Stay here. Let me put you in this pen. Stay here. Let me prune you. Hold on. Let me get the shave on. Oh God, I hope you're listening. I hope you're here. Let me shave some of the fur. Let me shave the wool off your skin. Because you got too much. You got too much. They need that other entity, that other arm of protection. Whereas wolves don't. A wolf will fend for himself. So, when we talk about lighting up the darkness, from Genesis 1, we see darkness there. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. I just want to go quickly there to read it. You could stay in Romans if you want, and if not, you could come to Genesis to make sure I'm reading what I say I'm reading. I don't mind. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and the earth was formless and empty. What is that? When we read these words, what pictures come into our minds? What kind of ideas do we get when we see the word formless and void? What does formless mean? Because Everything will have a form. If a puff of smoke, it will have some kind of form, even if it doesn't look like anything. But it will, you know, it will take on some kind of, maybe the form is not asymmetrical or symmetrical or what have you. So what is this formless and void? And void is empty, having nothing, no life, no death. It's void, right? So what are these? And the next few words says, darkness was on the surface of the deep. So I'm not saying to you, I'm not talking to you. God never said that darkness doesn't exist. It's there. It's all around us. But what is God addressing? What is he talking to? Whom is he speaking to? He said darkness was on the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the surface of the waters. So God is there looking at everything. God is like, oh, okay. I see. You know. And verse 3 says, God said, let there be light. In other words, I'm seeing, I'm looking, I'm checking things out, and things look bad. Void and formless and darkness. I see the darkness. God is saying, I see the darkness. Okay, you there? All right, I see you. You think you got something going on, huh? Okay, I see you. And God said, darkness, go away. And God said, darkness, disappear. Find somewhere else to go. Get out, go. No. That's not what God said. God saw the counterfeit money. He saw it, counterfeit. He saw the counterfeit money there. God said, okay, I see you. I see your 200 counterfeit dollars, and I raise you 400 real dollars. For those of you who gamble and you know you're wrong for that. No, I don't gamble. What does God say? Let there be light. He never addresses the darkness. He sees it. He knows it's there. Looks pretty bad. Maybe what he's thinking. He says, let there be light. And what happens? And there was light. Let's go back to Romans 8. So God knows that there is evil. He told Isaiah, I create evil. I created the waster to destroy. I created that. It's not there on its own volition. The darkness is not there because it wants to be there. Darkness is there because it is necessary. It is a part of life. It's a part of the world we live in. And so God begins to speak to light. God begins to speak to light. He began to infuse light and life and truth into this dimension. That's what he began to do, in Genesis. And he created, and then he called forth the light, and then the sun and the moon and the stars and the water and the earth and the seas and the trees. All that's it's life, it's light, it's truth. He is bringing forth these things. He's speaking to these things. Not the darkness. And here we're back in Romans, just in case you're wondering. In Romans 8, Paul makes a diabolical statement. Because he says, the creation, all of Genesis 1 and 2, was subjected to vanity. Right? One of the things that I recognize as I study the word Adam in Genesis 1:26 is I see interesting meanings of that word. Right? Adam in its root, in its makeup, in its fiber, in its foundation. Hypocrite, mean-faced, right? Those things are wound, are mixed. They're intricately woven into our being, into our makeup. Go check it out yourself. Look at Strong's, look at BBDB or whatever. Those basic books. And then you could go deeper. Why is God, who said, let us make man in our image and our likeness, why is he using hypocrite fibers, hypocrite threads, hypocrite designs, if you will? Why is he interweaving these hypocritical threads in our DNA, in our makeup? Why is he doing that? Why is mean-faced there? And mean-faced is connected to red, Adam, red, because when people get angry, their facial expression change. And if they get angry enough, the blood will rush to your face and you look flush. You look blood red, right? And you see it more so in somebody who is of a lighter skin color. Whether it's black, white, whether it's black light, Mexican light, Puerto Rican light, or Caucasian light, it doesn't matter. Okay? It doesn't mean that dark-skinned people like myself doesn't mean that we are excluded from that. That when we get mad, you can't tell. It doesn't show it. It doesn't mean that. It's a part of the human DNA. I know you're not going to like it. But it's true nonetheless. That's why we have, we have these flaws. That's why it's easy for us to flip a switch. That's why, we so high today and tomorrow we gone low. But guess what? God saw it all from the beginning and did what? What did he do? He said it was all good. You know why it was all good? Because he made us it all. And God don't make junk. He made it all. He created it all. And then, because he created it, he says, it's good. Paul in Romans says, for the creation was subjected. To subject something is to put something under. That's what the word subject means. I take that thing and I put it under fire, under heat, under the cupboard, under the stove, under the fridge. Whatever it is, I subject it. That's why they call the big machines in the ocean that goes underwater, they call it submarine. Submarine. Okay? They put the big thing under something. In this case, the water. Okay? So Paul is saying that God, the creation, was subjected. You have to be an authority to subject something to something. Like, if you're a slave owner, you could subject your slaves to slavery, right? Like that. If you're running, that's how people got into slavery, right? Either sometimes, in some cases, back in the day, the people subjected themselves to a person for whatever the reason. In most cases, in the biblical times and so forth, it used to be because there's a need. They have a need. They can't supply for themselves. So they give themselves over to somebody who can meet all those needs. Right? So, sir, I'll come and I'll work for you and you will supply my needs. And interestingly enough, that's a thread that goes all the way through society. Right? Because I have a job, so I subject myself to my bosses. I go to work, and in return, they meet my need. They pay for the time that I spend at their property doing the things that they need me to do. And for that, I get compensated. It's not slavery, but the thread is I have to do that because, I have to pay my rent. I have to buy gas for my car. I have to feed myself. Right? I have needs. Okay? So, when Paul is saying that all of creation was subjected to vanity, who else had the authority to do that but God? Who has the authority to subject creation but God? And he did that. Why? Paul explains. He said, he who subjected it in hope. The person who subjected it had hope that I was looking at Homestead Rescue. I find myself looking at Homestead Rescue, Life Below Zero, you know, all these things, those shows, because I'm fascinated by the way people, the things people do to survive in the Life Below Zero part. This idea that some people just, they will, you know, go out there in the middle of nowhere and they would subject themselves to the climate and the forest and the animals and the wilderness and all those things, and survive. Build houses and hunt animals and do all these things, right? And survive. And be at peace with themselves, in themselves, to the fact that they are not subjected themselves to another human being. Oh, man, I just hope that somebody's hearing what God is saying. I find myself fascinated by these two programs, these two shows that I watch. I love to watch the moonshiners too, because these guys who make this moonshine, they are scientists. And they show all their scientific skill. It's crazy to see how their mind works. It's amazing. It's not just entertaining, but it's mind-boggling to see the human mind, how it operates. And in one of these Homestead Rescue programs, where you have this father-daughter-son collaboration, the son is experts in certain, they're all experts, right? In building and everything, gardening and all of that stuff, in taking care of stuff, right? And the dad is the lead, of course, and the daughter is awesome. Oh, God, I love her. She is phenomenal, right? The son, you see, they're all phenomenal, right? But the son is expert at hunting and he's got all the other skills. I'm pretty sure the girl could shoot a gun too, you know. But in what I'm talking about is in one of the segments, they were helping this homestead, and the guy is a knife. He makes knives and stuff like that. And the guy have a piece of steel, and he's showing him how the knife is created from a piece of steel, maybe this long, and he started cut it with machine, you know, thing, and then he started get the shape and all that. And then when actually get the knife, right, the metallic. The metal it looks like a knife, but now he has to finish it and do all this stuff. He has to now subject the metal to intense heat. I hope you're listening. He subjects, he encases the knife in like something like aluminum foil. It's not aluminum foil, it's more like a sheet, right? Some kind of sheet, metal sheet. He put a knife in there and he fold the sheet around the knife and then takes the knife and put it in this furnace. and heats the furnace up to like 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay? Because the knife in that state now has to be tempered, has to be subjected to this heat, so that when it comes out of the heat and it's finished, it will last the test of time. Oh man, I hope somebody hearing me. But the idea is, the person who is making the knife vis-a-vis the son of the three and the other guy who's living on the homestead, they understand that they're not subjecting the knife to this inordinate amount of heat for fun. They're not doing it because they want to. They're not doing it because they feel like it. They're not doing it because they are, you know, they're just evil and they want to kill the knife. They're doing it because they must do that, so that the knife, after going through this process, will stand the test of time, will function the way it was designed to function. Oh, somebody help me. And so, Paul says that creation was subjected to vanity. Not because creation wanted to be subjected, not because the creator was in a funny mood and wanted to just make fun, or wanted to just have a good time, or because he just felt like it, or because I'm so wicked and evil, I'm going to make this thing and then I'm going to kill them. No. He subjected it to vanity in hope. I hope you all listening to this thing. Golly, this is good. In hope. What is hope? The man put the knife in the kiln, in the furnace, heated it up to some ridiculous amount of heat, right? Left it in there for a ridiculous amount of time. I'm talking about over 30 seconds. Nothing could survive in that at 1800 degrees Fahrenheit for, I mean, you can't even, I wouldn't even go there, but I don't know what could survive that. Anyway, and when they took it out, right, they had to take it out and unwrap the packet and take it out of the package in under 60 seconds or something like that. And so all the process is put in place for a reason. Because the makers of the product is hoping that this product, when it goes through these things and we put it to the final test, it will pass the test. And then when we put it into the hands of the people who purchase the knives, it will function like a knife. It will cut. It will last forever and ever. The edge will always be sharp, and so forth, and so fifths, and so sixths, and sevens, and eights, and nines, and tens. So, the Creator subjected his creation in hope. And he explains what that hope is. In hope that the creation itself, listen, this is the most important part. He subjected it in hope that the creation itself also will be delivered from the bondage of decay into the liberty of the glory of the children of God. Now, last session we talked about this idea that a child of God, though they may say they're a child of God, they're not necessarily a child of God. They only become a child of God when they are put in the furnace, and the furnace is lit to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit or more. When it's taken out, when it's unwrapped in that short amount of time, and it functions for what it was created for. We also alluded to the fact, to the truth, that Yeshua said in John 8, let's go over there, where we were last week. John, the 8th chapter. The Gospel of John, the 8th chapter, where Yeshua says that a bondservant, woo! A bondservant does not live in the house forever. Only a son does. Only a daughter does. Only a child of God does. Right? And I don't want to go into what we did last week, but just to bring this back, because I want us to understand. The old folks used to say, many are called, but few are chosen. I don't know if it's a scripture. I don't know if that is written like that in the book. It may be. Excuse me, I don't know. But it's interesting, to say the very least, because Paul says, let's go back to Romans 8, right? That the creator subjected the creation in hope that the creation itself will be delivered from the bondage of decay. So, is the subjection of creation, is the subjection death? Was creation subjected to death? In the verse before, he said, for creation was subjected to vanity. Excuse me. Right? He said creation was subjected to vanity. I could equate vanity to death, and vice versa, death to vanity. Right? Because they are both life-giving things. They are both non-life-breathing things. They are both tied to decay. But the interesting thing is, Paul is writing to the Roman church and saying that the creation itself, the hope is that the creation itself will be delivered from death, from being slavery to death, which is the same as slavery to sin, which is the same as slavery to vanity. See, vanity, death, sin are synonyms, just like truth, life, and what we say? Truth, life, and the way, the truth, and the life. Truth, life, and something we alluded to last week. I think the word, can't remember, right? But those three, vanity, death, and sin, they're all one. They're all one entity and one and the same entity. And so the result of being involved in that entity is death. The payment is death, because it's all death. These things don't produce life. Truth, on the other hand, truth, right? Hope, life, love, all these things produce life. I hope you all getting the picture. And so Paul is saying that God subjected us and creation in hope that we will be eventually delivered from death into, listen, this is the kicker, this is the key, into the liberty of the glory of the children of God. So, Yeshua says in John, a bondservant doesn't live in the house. Interesting thing, he never says a bondservant doesn't live in the house. Full stop. Didn't say that. Right? Because everybody knows, going back to the whole slavery thing again, I don't know, that seemed to be big in this session. Okay? Now, remember, we are talking about lighting up the darkness. Right? And so, if perhaps your name is Bill Gates or what's the Amazon guy? You're a multi-billionaire, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, you're just a multi-billionaire, right? You could have servants, right? Because you live in a 50-bedroom house with 18 living rooms and 25 TVs and basketball court and gym and you just live on a spread. Well, guess what? You have to have people to take care of the spread that you're living in, right? I'm sure you don't wash your own clothes. I'm sure you don't iron your own clothes, right? I'm sure you don't probably make your own bed. Okay? So you have servants. Right? But the servants, I'm pretty sure, doesn't, at 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, okay, done, I'm gone, I'll see you in the morning. They leave, go to the house and come back 5, 6 in the morning. I'm pretty sure that's not what's going on. Right? I'm pretty sure your servant is living close by. Either in the house or next to the house. Right? But if she's there, she is part of the house. So listen to what I'm saying very carefully, people. Yeshua said, the bondservant does not live in the house forever. Right? Now, if these multi-billionaire people have sons, kids, children, right? And the children is living in the house with them and so on. Which of the two is more important? The bondservant or the children? Which of the two you think will get the inheritance if the father or mother has to die, happen to die? Who you think will get the inheritance? The children or the servants? Oh, gosh. So Yeshua is saying that the bondservant is not a guarantee that the bondservant is going to be in the house forever. Right? So if you're a bondservant, The idea is not to stay a bondservant. Now we're talking about in spirit, in the house of God. The idea is to become a son. Why? Because as we discussed last session, you're in the house, right? You're in the house. You're in the house, but you're taking drugs. You're in the house, but you're smoking weed. You're in the house, but you're just misbehaving. You're just acting a fool. You're just deviling in sin. You're just rolling and playing and just in sin, in death, in decay, in vanity. That's all you operating in. But you're in the house. You're in the house. You're in church. You're singing, you're dancing, you're laughing, you're talking. You're in there. Yeshua said, yeah, you in there. You in there. But you're not a son. See, when the owner is looking down at the people in the house, he sees bondservants and he sees sons, right? Or children. And he's saying to himself, oh, you see how they're acting? They're not children. But you see them? They're children. What makes a difference? Because the sons, they ain't rolling around in sin. They're not perfect, but they're not rolling around in sin and shame and degradation and living that lifestyle. They focused on being willing and obedient. They focused on obedience. They're trying to obey their father. They're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to live upright. They're trying to support godly ideals and ideas and godly things. Everything in their focus is about their father. Woo! This is some good stuff here, people. This is some good stuff. This is some good stuff. Everything in their mindset is about their father. How they talk to their wife. How they talk to their children. How they talk to their co-workers. How they talk to their bosses. How they talk to their employees. How they talk to, how they do things. You see what I'm saying? When they go to the restaurant, how they talk to the servers. You know what I'm saying? When they operating, how do they operate? How is their walk? How is their talk? How is their demeanor? Are they grumpy and always fighting and yipping and yapping and mad? How they carry themselves? See? That's what the sons focus on. That's what the children focus on. The bondservants, on the other hand, the bondservants, they're just in the corner drinking and smoking and gambling and, having sex with each other, and they don't care. All they're thinking about is, let's do this because Sunday we go to church, we'll be all right. Oh, we in the house. We in already. We don't have to conduct ourselves. We don't have to obey the law because that's legalist. That's legalist. They're legalists. I don't care what you say. I like to be a legalist. I want to be on this legal side of things all the time. That's my hope. That's my desire. That's my dream. I don't want to be on the outskirts, on the illegal side of nothing. You see what I'm saying? But the bondservants, they love to be out there. They love it. They love it. They love to be out there. And they're under the impression that they're in the house, so they're all right. You think so? Let's go to Matthew 7. How you doing out there? You good? You hanging on? You holding on for life? Hold on for dear life. Hold on for dear life. Okay? Hold on for dear life and listen closely to what God is saying. Okay? Because God has hope. God has expectations. God has a vision, right? I think Hosea says, if you don't have no vision, you perish, right? People perish because they don't have a vision. They don't have hope. They're hopeless. Think about the people on the street. They're homeless. They're hopeless. You know, they can't see the end of they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Listen, read Matthew chapter 7. Are you there? Okay, let's go down to verse number 16. Let's start at there. Let's start there. He says, this is Yeshua speaking. If you have a Bible, it should be in red. If it's not in red, it's okay. Some translations don't put things in red. It's okay. Mine is red because it is said that the words in red are words that Yeshua spoke. The actual words that he spoke, right? So the actual words that he spoke is to be taken more seriously than the words that are in black. The letters that's in black. Go figure. Anyway, let's read. Verse 16, Matthew chapter 7, verse 16. Yeshua says, by their fruits you will know them. Do you gather grapes from thorns or figs from thistles? Again, earlier on, we talk about how you recognize counterfeit. How do you recognize counterfeit? And because we've studied counterfeit for so long, we study the devil. Oh, God, the body of believers, the church as we call them, they are so filled with the study of demons and demonology and the devil this and the devil oh, everything is about the devil. And so we have become experts on the devil. I don't want to be an expert on the devil. Not that I don't know he's there. Not that I don't care that he's there. I don't want to be an expert on him. I want to be an expert on God. I want to be in tune with God. I want to be flowing with God. And when you do that, and I said before, you will see the enemy. You will see things. It wouldn't bother you. Or you will have the right response. See? You will have the right response. See, if you look at Job, okay, we'll get to Matthew 7, don't worry. If you look at Job, listen to me for a minute, right? If you look at Job, what happened with Job? What was the conversation? Matter of fact, you could stay in Matthew 7, hold your finger there. Let's go over to Job. I want to read this because I just thought about this, but I believe in the spirit. And let's read some of this stuff. Right? Let's go to Job chapter 1. I'll give you a second to get there. Oh, man. Having some coffee here. Are we there? Job chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. Now, I just want you to know, we're still talking about lighting up the darkness. Yes, I see the darkness. I know the darkness is there. Darkness doesn't faze me. I am light. So wherever I go, that's what's emanate from me. That is what is emanating. That is what I want to project. Light, light, light. So that wherever I am, darkness must take a side, take a backward step. Darkness must turn and walk away. See, the writer says, Job, that man was blameless and upright. One who feared God and turned away from evil. Isn't it amazing? In today's society, right? This is how we would have written this. One who turns away from evil and fears God. That's how we would have write this. See? But the proverb says that the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. So you have to fear God first. It's always about God first. But for centuries, we keep harping and talking about this devil. And he has risen in prominence in our mouths. In our mouths. He has risen in prominence. So he fears God. And because he fears God, he turns away from evil. And there were born to him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His possession was, all right, we go through that. Verse 4 says, his sons went and held a feast in the house of each one on his birthday. So them sons like to party. They love to have a party. That's what a feast is, as a party, right? God alone, not Job, because I didn't think Job knew, because I didn't think Job used to go to these feasts. Right? Now, that's an interesting thing right there. But that's not why I came to the book of Job, to talk about them and the feast, right? That's a topic for a separate discussion. Let's go to verse 7. That's where I want to go. Jehovah said to Satan, where have you come from? And Satan answered Jehovah and said, from going back and forth in the earth, from walking up and down in it. Jehovah said to Satan, listen, have you considered my servant Job? Yeah, I see you walking back and forth and you're going everywhere. You're looking for trouble. No, you're looking to start trouble. Have you considered my servant Job? Why would he say that? Right? Why would God say to the devil, hey, what about my buddy over here, man? I want to tell you why. Because God knew Job feared God and turned away from evil. God knew that Job was a son. Wasn't perfect, but he was a son. See, as son is fixated, as I said before, focused wholly, internally, absolutely on fearing God, on focusing on God, on loving God, on being obedient to God. And because the son is so focused on God, when you zoom in like that, when you get so intertwined with God like that, there's a certain level of confidence that God has in saying to the devil, ain't nothing you can do, bro. Because that's a son right there. And you could shake and bake. You could roast and toast. You could do all you want. That's my boy. He ain't budging. He ain't moving. He will bend. He will roll over you. But his foot is sure. His foundation is sure. That's why I went to Job. Because the insight of God here is saying to us, when you're a son, I could do these things. A matter of fact, I will do those things to anybody. But I'm sure that the son is going to stand firm. The bondservant is going to always fail or fall. So, Satan says, verse 8, and Jehovah said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job? For there is none like him. Can you imagine God saying that about you or me? Man, that's a compliment right there. That's a serious compliment right there. For there is none like him in the earth. A blameless and upright man. And God repeats what the initial statement of the writer. God says, one who fears God. See, that's always first. He fears God and he turns away from evil. And then Satan answers. See, it's a conversation. And Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for nothing? No. Nobody fears God for nothing. Of course. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. It's just the beginning. But the wiser you get, the more you comprehend, the more you understand that fearing God make more sense than anything else. That fearing him is the best thing you can do. That fearing him keeps you always in the right perspective. Well, maybe not always, but it keeps you close to the right perspective. And as that fear grows, the closer the closer you get to the right perspective. Doesn't make you perfect, right? Because all have sinned and fallen short of the glory. Doesn't make you perfect, right? But that fear and the increase of that fear perfects you. It perfects you. You recognize when you fall. You recognize when you fail. You are humbled by your failures, right? You don't get prideful. You don't get boastful. You don't be all mouthy. You don't be, as the old folks used to say, big and bad. You don't be wrong and strong. Right? It humbles you. It keeps you in a place of humility. It gives you peace. Gives you patience. Right? Because you know you're not perfect. So you don't judge everybody by perfection. You judge them by where they are and what are they trying to do. You look at them a little more cautiously. You think about what you can say to them to maybe change their perspective. You think about how you should live your life around them to maybe show them something different. See? All those things. You churn in your spirit all day long. You don't focus on evil. You focus on God. And you tap into God to the extent where God could speak to you at any given moment. Any given moment. I mean, any given moment. And because of your willingness and because of your obedience, God knows when he speaks to you, you would hear him, and most likely chances are you'll do what he asks. You would act like he wants you to act. You will say what he wants you to say. See, we look at Elijah and Elisha, and we look at Hosea, and we look at Abraham, and we look at Isaac and Jacob, and we look at Sarai, and we look at all these people like Job, and we look at Paul and Peter, and we look at them and we think, oh, this is easy. This is easy to do. No, it's not as easy as you think. And I know modern day teachings make it sound like it's all, oh, this is so easy. It's easy to do. I'm going to tell them, stop lying. It's not as easy as you think. Okay? It takes commitment. It takes dedication. It takes a willingness. It takes wisdom. It takes so much. It takes strength. It takes courage. You know, one of the things I beat myself about is I need to be more courageous in certain areas. I need to be more courageous. And I'm mad when I'm not. And I'm upset with myself when I'm not. I'm like, why, God? Why? You see what I'm saying? Sometimes it irks the life out of me. And this is just an idiom. You know? When you just can't find the courage to do something that you think you should. Or say something that, you know, or act in a way that you think you ought to. And maybe there's a reason for that. But I digress. Again, it's always the fear of God. Okay? It's always focusing on God. Darkness ain't going nowhere. Darkness is there. It is there, right there, ever present. It's not going anywhere. God understands that. God keeps saying, light, light, talk to the light. He's talking to the light. Be light. Speak truth. The truth will set you free. Forget about the darkness. We were in Matthew 7, I know. Is it? Leviticus, let me see. Exodus 20. Maybe it's Exodus, right? Yeah. Exodus 23, turn. I'm gonna wait. Turn. I want you to hear this. And I want you to hear these things. Exodus 23, are you there? This is part of the Ten Commandments, right? This instructions. God is giving out instructions, right? Okay. It's not part of the Ten Commandments. But in this verse, there you see part of the Sabbath day and stuff. You see that. So that's what I was referring to. But this is rules, laws, instructions, Torah. Okay? That's what the Torah is. It's rules, it's laws, it's instructions. Yes, it's a legal document. Yes, it's a way to live. Yes, it's the rules by living a certain way. Or it's rules to live a certain way. It's rules. It's not legalistic. It's a cry. It's a call to be obedient. The fear of God is the beginning of wisdom. If you don't fear him, then you don't obey him. So you could scream New Testament all day. Oh, Jesus died so that we don't have to do that. That's not true. That's not why he died. That's not why he died. You know why he died? To show us that when you live for God, in that way, you cannot die. That's why he died. So that when we see him resurrected, we understand, we know that when you live for God, you cannot die, even though you die. So his death was to prove, his death was to show that God is not playing. God ain't playing. When you live for God, like the way Yeshua lived, like the way Jesus lived, when you live for God like that, death can't keep you down. Death have no hold on you. And so he died to show death. You can't hold me, bro. You ain't got nothing on me, bro. You ain't got nothing on me. Yeshua himself said, the prince of this world cometh, and he has nothing in me. There is nothing about me. There is nothing in me that he could lay hold of. He can't attach himself to me no how, no way, no form, no shape. Not to my pinky finger, not to my tippy grain on my head, not to the end of my tippy toes. He cannot hold, he can't touch. Because I was perfectly obedient. Because I endured obedience. I stayed obedience. Even to the death of the cross. You don't know what you don't know. So don't pretend that you know, because you don't. He had to die. There's no other way to do it. There is no other way. He had to die because his death proved that his life was perfect. You say, well, how is death prove that? Because he didn't stay dead. But he had to be pronounced dead. And when he was pronounced dead, and death thought, decay thought, what did Paul say in Romans? The bondage to decay. When decay thought, I had him bind up. I had him tied up in woolen linen. I had him embalmed. When death thought he had him, Just before death jump up and send a clap. Oh, where he at? Where he is? I can't find him. Oh, death, where is your sting? Oh, grave, where is your hold? What? I can't find him. Death is looking everywhere. The head chains in his hand. Where'd he go? He had to die, ladies and gentlemen. He had to. There's no other way for God to show that he mean business. And when you live for him like that, that's what you get. That right there. You get life evermore. Because death have no hold on you whatsoever. And if you thought I knew this all along, that's not true either. God just revealed that to me there while I was talking to you. Exodus 23. He says, verse 12, we're going straight to what I want to talk about. Verse 12, he says, 6 days you shall work, and on the seventh you shall rest. Well, we know that as a Sabbath instruction in Exodus 20. We know that. That your ox and your donkey may rest, the son of your servant and the alien may be refreshed. See, God ain't just thinking about you. He ain't thinking about you. Only about you. This is more than you in the world. It's more than you to life. He's not just thinking only about you. Yes, he is thinking about you, but not only about you. Listen to this, because this is the verse I want to get to. He says, be careful to do all the things that I have said to you. See, this is God. God wants you to be careful to do all the things that I have said to you. Listen, because this next part here, a lot of people don't know this, but I want you to hear it. He says, and do not invoke the name of other gods, or even let them be heard out of your mouth. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Did you hear that? He said, verse 13 of Exodus 23, be careful to do all the things that I have said to you. And do not invoke the name of other gods. Or even let them be heard coming out of your mouth. And yet, still, for centuries, the church, the body that's called the Church of God, the Church of Christ, has been talking about this devil, this Satan, calling him by name, addressing him. Oh my goodness. God said, why? You think that's the only time he said it, huh? I'll give you another witness. Mark that, Exodus 23, verse 13. Mark that. Okay? And as you mark that, turn in your Bibles to Joshua chapter 23. Are you there? I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second. Joshua 23. Let's start in verse 6. And we're going to close here after this. Verse 6. Joshua 23. So it's Exodus 23. Joshua 23. Isn't that funny? Think about that for a second. Therefore, be very courageous to keep and to do all that is written in the scroll of the Torah of Moses, that you not turn away from it to the right hand or to the left. Hold your horses, slow your roll. That you not come among these nations, right? And remember, when we talk about nations here, when we talk about nations, we're not talking about Germany and France and Spain and Portugal and US and Caribbean. No, we're talking about people. Now, we could also be talking about Germany and France and the US and so on. But predominantly, when we're talking about nations, the first thing, in essence, we think about is people, right? Because God is addressing people. God don't speak to land and a land mass. God speaks to a people. Okay? He says, that you not come among these nations, these that remain among you, listen, neither make mention of the name of their gods, nor cause to swear by them, nor serve them, nor bow down yourselves to them. And then he closes by saying, but hold fast to Jehovah as you have done to this day. So in Exodus 23, he warns them. Don't take heed. Be careful to do everything I tell you to do. I don't know why we think that the law is void. I don't know what kind of father would be so deadly serious about raising his son in a certain way, only for the son to just cast that way aside when he grows up to be a man. When Proverbs says, train up a child in the way that he should go. Come on, people. We are not making sense. We are not thinking right. How can we say God so deadly serious about obedience then? Now he don't care about it. It's okay. Just do what you want. Because all the stuff he said before, it was for nothing. He didn't mean none of that. That is stupidity at its nth degree. That is stupidity in its highest form. He tells the people in Exodus 23, don't invoke the name of other gods. He goes on to say, don't even let the words, the names come out of your mouth. And here, in essence, he's saying the same thing. Because other nations or other peoples, you don't know what God they worship. So when you live among them, don't mention the name of their gods. Don't let it be heard coming out of your mouth. We have two witnesses saying the same thing. Yet still, we tell our people, we don't have to do that. Listen, I charge each and every one of you here today, under the sound of my voice, please, 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 if you're a parent, think about it. If you are a parent, your child is born, and you're raising up your daughter or your son to live a certain way. Why even put in the effort if when they turn 20, 25, none of what you said matters? Why even put in the effort of doing it? You think about that. Turn in your Bibles in closing to Numbers chapter 6, verse 22. We got to come out from among them and be ye separate. We have to. We have to. We have to be sons and not servants. And the difference is, a son fixated on the Father. He lives for the Father. He breathes for the Father. He is obedient even unto death, even if that death is the death of the cross. Because he knows, even though he dies, he will live. Servant don't care about none of that. Numbers chapter 6, verse 22 through 27, reads as follows. And Jehovah spoke to Moses, saying, speak to Aaron and to his sons, saying, this is how you shall bless the children of Israel. You shall tell them, Jehovah bless you and keep you. Jehovah make his face to shine on you and be gracious to you. Jehovah lift up his face towards you and give you peace. So they shall put my name on the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Until next time, Shavua Tov, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom, Arrivederci, Dashvadanya, adios, peace, deuces, buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenos dias. What else? Goodbye, sayonara, annyeonghaseyo, peace. Much love.